And we're live! All right, welcome. Thank you, Todd, for bringing us live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Freedom-Preneur Show. This is Rhonda Swan, the unstoppable mama of the Unstoppable family. Guys, it is so awesome to have you joining me on the show today. We've got a lot of people that are coming to learn more about what we're up to and to meet my very special guest that I'm going to bring out in just a couple minutes. But guys, if you are here and you're wondering, what the heck does this word Freedom-Preneur mean? And it's really fun because we've got a massive tribe from around the world of people that have been really exploring and learning and growing for free, right? Like literally taking their minds to the next level. And this show that I provide every single week is a pure value-based show. And it's a place where freedompreneurs come to learn and to grow. And each week I bring out different guests, whether we talk about marketing, we talk about mindset, we talk about money, and every single thing in between. You know, our family has been traveling now for 8 full years and living as a freedompreneur. We literally quit our jobs over 10 years ago to be able to be home with my daughter every day. And I hadn't even had a daughter at the time. And what we ended up doing is I just wanted to find a way that I could replace my income. Now, certainly, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that, and most people get stuck. And today we're going to talk about how to get unstuck and how to really bring overwhelming abundance into your life. And that's something that I did, and I actually started working for a way to build my future on the internet. And, you know, it was Facebook, YouTube, none of these platforms like we're sitting on today, whether it's a Google Hangout or if you guys are listening to the podcast, is, you know, there was none of these platforms were around. And so we started to just really I started to find and bring my visions to the world, and I started to shoot video and connecting with people, and I actually started connecting with people that wanted to explore their mindsets through newspaper ads, crazy enough. And sure enough, now, guys, it's been over 10 years, and we are now on this mission. Our Unstoppable family and our Unstoppable Freedompreneur tribe is on this life path to really change the way people think. Help them explore different ways that they can learn, they can grow, and ways for you to just truly be free. You know, we are not connected to any company, business opportunity. We are here to serve. We are here to serve the grander good of the world and help show people that there are possibilities. And we've created the Freedom-Preneur Starter Guide that you guys can download actually on the right-hand side. It's actually a brand new starter guide I just wrote that's going to help people kind of get their mindset in the right place. And we're really excited because our tribe, we've got thousands of people in our tribe, and we're opening up our Freedom-Preneur Academy very, very soon. It's actually been opened up to beta testers for the last month, helping people really explore and tell us what they need. What do they need to help changing their mindset from going from, you know, the thought process that you need to work a 9-to-5 job to actually creating something on their own, building a blog, sharing their passions and their visions to the world, and how to create more abundance using this amazing platform called the internet, right? And so this is the platform that we're going to run from today, guys. And I want to hear from all of you that are coming from a completely different place in the world. Share with us where you're coming from below. You might be watching this in the Google Hangout. You could be watching the recording. But either way, you're going to be on this page. And we always like to know who's joining us. So share below where you're joining us from. And you know, what part of the world and time zone you're calling in on, because the more energy, guys, that we can get from our followers and those that are viewing and watching, like, we can feel it. You know, guys, I'm an energy girl if you haven't watched me before. And I get energy from knowing about you, where you come from, and your vibrations and the excitement you get give me more energy. So sometimes it's dangerous because I get really super excited because I can feel you guys really bringing the love to our show. But I'm going to actually kind of cut to the chase because we've got an incredible guest. I know that all you guys came to learn from today. And if you guys are seeing my hair kind of flicking up, it's really hot here in Bali today. And I've got my fan rolling on me, so I'm not going to start sweating here in the picture. But nonetheless, guys, we are here for you. And I'm super excited because I asked a very special guest to join me today, and I met this incredible human being, this contributor to our world, back in '09. Actually, we were in Cancun. I was there for an event. I had connected to a personal development company that Brian and I were representing, and we had an event in Cancun. And I had firewalked a couple times before this specific event, and I think in Puerto Rico was the very first time I ever firewalked. And this specific event, though, was really different, and it's really kind of cool because I came from we were in Bali, Indonesia at the time, and this was over 6 years ago. I was in Bali. Brian and I had been traveling with Hanalei for a few years, or just a year and a half at the time, and we were in this transition point in our life. We had we had lost everything due to financial real estate problems. That's why we started traveling the world, because we said, heck, let's just sell everything we've got and start traveling so we can really find ourselves. We can really let our egos go, which we were so connected to, I think, at the time, because we were, it was building empires of real estate, and it was all about money at the time. And it's so cool when we go through these amazing transformations in our life, and we were in one. We were here in Bali, and we were, there was an event that was coming up, and Cynthia Kersey, who I absolutely adore, who we are very connected to, where she actually created the Unstoppable Foundation that Brian and I are contributors of. I'll be actually flying back to LA in March to join her in her Unstoppable Foundation. But I found out that Cynthia Kersey was speaking at this event in Cancun, and then I heard that we were going to be firewalking. And like, wow, yeah, because of course, anything that can take me to an edge, right, and bring me to this break away from my normal certainties, right, that I know are real, I'm going to do it. So I said, Brian, I'm going back to Cancun from Bali. Now, if any of you guys know how far Bali is from Cancun, it took me about 2.5 days to get there. And I sure as heck went there because I wanted to grow and to expand my new possibilities, right? Because we were in that transition point of relieving our ego, really fine-tuning who the heck are we? And how am I going to be a contributor to this world in a whole different light, especially bringing my little daughter into the world. She was 1.5 years old. So I fly back to Cancun, and I find out that John Maisel is going to be the instructor and the facilitator of this firewalk. And sure enough, and John, you may not even know this, but I go walking into this room, and if you can remember how amazing that auditorium room was that we were in, we think we were in the Moon Palace, I believe it was, and we walked in this room, and the whole wall, it was like, I don't even know how big this wall of fire was, but it was a wall of fire, it was a video of fire, and we walk in, and this fire is blazing, and sure enough, here's John Maisel standing on the stage, and he's sharing about how, the transitions that we all have, and this uncertainty, what's real, and how most of us bring to the table so much ego, and we never can really get through to truly who we are. So firewalking, we use it as a platform to just truly break through all of these mind barriers of what is really possible in our life. And John, I swear to goodness, I remember sitting there, and I think I was like second row, and I'm like, because if you know me, I want to get into it. When I believe in something, I want to learn, I'm like, I'm into it. I'm like leaning as far to the edge as I could, hanging on every single word that you shared. And you changed my life that day, John, and I know that he's, guys, if you don't know who John is, I kind of gave a little idea, let me preface him, because John is known as the Firewalking Legend. He has worked with communities and associations like Tony Robbins, and I know you've done some work with Geraldo Rivera. It was taught to Firewalk in front of like 19 million people. You were the facilitator of the CBS Survivor television show. John's just done some amazing things, and I know that Peggy Dillon was one of pretty much one of the founders of the Firewalking movement. I've met Peggy as well, but John's done amazing things in the world, and now he's creating so much awareness around the world. So certainly to have John on this show to inspire you to open up your minds to what's possible, and the mindset of walking on fire, it doesn't really make sense. at all. Like, our bodies don't want us to do this. So I, John, am honored to have you, calling in from Texas, and here I am in Bali, Indonesia. It's nighttime for John. It's day for us. But we have been kindred souls and connected since 2009. I know you were doing some work in Costa Rica, reforesting, and you're so connected to really what Mother Nature has really given us and what Mother Earth has provided us and how we can be contributors and take all that energy into our own lives. So, John Maisel, would you please come out and join our tribe of freedompreneurs who are we're world changers, and these are people that truly care about what their contribution is. They care about their message and what their message will provide to the world by speaking their truth, connecting to their children, and being contributors. So I think you're a perfect person to join us on our tribe today. So what do you say, John? Come on out. And how you doing over there? I think he's still muted there, Todd. Make sure John's unmuted. All right. Oh, not yet. You're still muted. Todd, can you make sure that John is unmuted? Or John, you can unmute yourself by making the light will go white. There we go.
I do believe we just got that. Am I here?
Yay! Put it on.
Well, after listening to you begin your wonderful program, I feel like I'm standing in front of a fire. So I hope that everyone that's joining us today has had that inner spark ignited by your enthusiasm. It's you're such a beautiful light to the world, and you're setting such an example of possibility to help people understand that I have this philosophy: I will never surrender to the momentum of mediocrity.
Wow, I love that. I will never surrender. Say that again, John, so everyone hears that.
I will never surrender to the momentum of mediocrity. That's that selling ourselves out to the company store. There is this. It's not. I love from the wonderful movie years ago. And we're in one of the movies about the surfers, and forgive me, I forgot the name of it. But at the end of it, Bodie, who was the surfer, and Keanu Reeves was in this as an FBI agent. Yeah, Point Break. I think they redid it again. I understand that the new one wasn't quite, but Bodie, he's about to go out on a 100-foot wave, and it's that great line where he says, "It's not tragic to die doing what you love, but it is tragic to live trying not to die."
Wow, that's powerful. That is
so.
Really, that connects. I think so many people too, John, here that connects so many people's hearts, and I know that especially part of our little freedom movement we've got going on. I know that you're connected to creating movement and awareness, but that is something that every person around the world is looking for.
Yeah, the Firewalk, since we started in that place, and we're going to talk about overwhelming abundance. I have a Firewalk that I do that's called Money to Burn, and it's all about understanding. Now, of course, I do this mainly in America, so we're working with American currency, and which is accepted around the world. And there are simple things that can begin the abundance process. One of the easiest of all of the simple processes is to make it a point, if you do have American money that you're using all the time. American money's got two sides. It has the green side, which represents growth and abundance, and it has the dark side, which represents dead people. So always keeping your money in my business, I always keep the green side up, and you typically see most registers that when people open them, the dead people, it's like a grave. Okay, there's a whole line of dead people there in front of you. So the Firewalk teaches focus. When you stand in front of 12 to 1500 degree coals, you have to be focused. And what I taught that day was the 5-point plan of power, which we should start perhaps there because it is directly related. to accumulating wealth and abundance. And you know, wealth is to me defined by having enough time and resources to do whatever you want, when you want. And it's not about how much money you have. But the 5-point plan is simple. It's know where you are, which means be present, pay attention. Be present, pay attention. When I'm teaching this plan for standing in front of the fire, I want people to pay attention to where they store fear in their body. Are their knees knocking together? They have a dry mouth? They have a clutch in their throat? Is their stomach churning? But where is this place that they store fear physically within their body? Because sooner or later, that lesson of paying attention in that moment will guide them to learn how to release potential disease from the body later in life. So know where you are. The second point of power is know where you're going. So you have to have this vision of being across the fire. You have to have the vision of accomplishing what it is that you're setting out to accomplish. And that is the second point of power. Know where you're going. And knowing where you're going also ties together with knowing where you are. Because if you don't have a rudder in your life, a focus, then you'll be like so many people that find themselves facing the same exact problem over and over and over. Now, the faces, the bodies, the people, the governments, all of that can change. You hear many times people speak about, people carry their baggage with them. And that is because they don't have a rudder. We live in cycles. Time is the illusion. That's something that most people know about me that know me well, is I don't believe in time. We have cycles. We have seasons. And even as you know from being in Bali, those are very different in Bali from other places. I've been there and have taught in Bali. And that time is the limiting belief that causes aging, causes a lot of pain. I mean, time is merely a convenience. You and I agree that this program is going to start at a specific time, and that time is relevant to just you and I. And as you know, right now when we talk about time, you're in one time zone, I'm in another time zone. It's night here, it's day there. So you can see how absolutely personal the time experience can be. And people say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, a personal experience of time is sit in the dental office, hear the drills going. How long does 30 minutes take while you're waiting there for your turn to get in the chair? As opposed to watching a great movie that's 3 hours long, and all of a sudden you go, where did the time go? Or you're having fun with your daughter, having a day with your daughter, and all of a sudden the sun's going down. So you can see that time flexes. The third point of power is have a plan. So if you're seeking freedom as part of a Freedom-Preneur, did I say that correctly? Freedom-Preneur, is that correct? Good.
That's right.
If I love the word, and if this is your plan, then have a specific outline and write it down. You know, our words are so powerful. I always teach in my classes, anything you say after I am creates your reality. So be careful with all of your I ams. So especially when you're, I live an affirmative, intentional life. I've done this for 20 years plus. And my affirmations are basically all either I am or I will. And this intention is that my business, I don't really call it a business plan as much as it is business intention. And my staff, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and my staff, they kind of shake their heads how we can have these certain particular beneficial effects that take place continuously in our business practices. And it has to do with an intention that is specific to our business, whatever elements affect your business, which would be particularly weather. And I have studied the Druids, and I have been graced with, when I was in Bali, I was adopted by a group of Hindu priests who taught me how to pray in their way. They heard I worked with elemental forces, and you are in the place where elemental forces are as personal as you can possibly get. Bali is one of the most alive zones on the entire earth. So, know where you are, know where you're going, have a plan. Now, the breakdown point is when we don't love ourselves enough to follow the plan. It takes self-love and self-respect to invest the time to manifest through an intentional plan. And this self-love, including the highest level of self-love, is adoration. Now, this is not narcissism. This is the intention of opening yourself to receiving overwhelming abundance in the form of love, wealth, property, the gift of giving that you could give without ever thinking that you'll run out of the energy to give. And I think you're a wonderful example, Rhonda, of that. It is the overwhelming abundance of energy that you demonstrate for all of us, and the $1 million smile. And when you smile from your heart. And I think that's very important. We all get it, that it's not a face. It's coming right out of your heart. So know where you are, know where you're going, have a plan, love yourself enough and respect yourself enough to follow the plan, even when it does not appear to be working. Part of loving yourself enough to follow a plan is also to love yourself enough to accept invisible means of support. That there is an infinite intelligence in the universe, and that this infinite intelligence is intelligent, and the fact that, think about when you're in nature how everything relates to one. I mean, the bee pollinates the flower. There is this interrelationship that's so powerful there. So not only is this creative intelligence, it is creative and it is intelligent. The two words have significance. So there is an intelligent design. Sometimes humans don't appear that they actually embody intelligent design, but there is a very intelligent design that is there that we can access when we follow our plan and we allow invisible means of support, the synchronicity of going with your personal flow as it relates to the flow of the universe. Allowing yourself, one of my teachers in my early days would say, don't shove the river. So there's going against the flow, your personal destiny, and then there is getting ahead of the flow, which can have equally detrimental effects. Now, the fifth point of power is probably the most important, and that is expect the best. Now, spiritually, the word prayer in its initial Aramaic usage meant to expect, not to petition. So whether you choose to use a spiritual term or you choose to use scientific terms, it doesn't matter. But what does matter is that you understand the roots of words. I love Gallagher. Gallagher is probably one of the he and George Carlin was a little too rough for my taste, but Gallagher is he gets across his points. I mean, he says wonderful things like, how do you expect to get anything done in Washington if you just pay attention to the first three letters of the word Congress? He said, if we want to get something done, we should change the name to Progress. And and he points out that in the 50s they were running out of land, and particularly in the larger cities, and everybody wanted to have their own little piece of land, so they started building houses together. Okay, and when they built the houses together in the beginning, nobody wanted to buy them because they were together, and so they came up with the genius idea of calling them apartments, even though they were together. And the American public bought into that insanity. We drive in the parkway and we park in the driveway. All of these words that have such power, and so when you're manifesting overwhelming abundance, one of the first things to really understand is the usage of your language and how we spend time perhaps condemning others. And the reality of condemnation is we are always condemning some aspect of ourself. So probably one of the most important choices that we have to make to stay in the flow is to choose between love or fear. So love represents expansion. Fear represents contraction. And historically, if you look at how history has proven this out, the Dark Ages was a time of contraction where everyone, particularly the more powerful people, were judging and punishing and sort of living out a way of living that was very contractive. And then we had, out of that blossomed the Elizabethan age of great music, great theater, and great creativity. So it's a choice, love or fear. So every moment with every breath that we take, we're choosing between love or fear. Think about gratitude. Gratitude is, feeling grateful. People think of that typically as a reactive emotion. Something happens, we react to it, and we feel grateful. It's something that we wanted to happen. It's something that maybe we prayed for or whatever. However, gratitude, the reality of the real energy of gratitude is that it is an attractive force. It attracts to you all the good that you could possibly allow yourself to receive. When we hold grudges, that is a fear-based behavior pattern. I love the finger deal. When you point that one finger at the other person, if you just take a minute and look at the other three that are pointing back at you, that forgiveness is a big part of opening yourself up to receiving overwhelming abundance. And a lot of people don't want to go to that place because it is quite challenging, because many people have tremendous conviction about they've been wronged.
You know what, John? This brings up something really interesting, and I know everyone is really loving this, because we're going to have thousands of people that are going to not only watch the replay but are watching live, and it's streaming all over the world. But you just there's so many things that I want to touch on, but you just hit something. It was a chord for me. I remember when Brian and I, when we found out that we were losing everything because the real estate developer pretty much took all of our cash, hard-earned cash that we invested in, and he took it and put it in the wrong places, and we were really pissed off. We were really upset. We were holding a grudge. We were holding on to it. We just really couldn't let it go. And I had the honor of calling in to Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer on a live show.
Oh, wow.
And I told them, I said, listen, I'm having a hard time. I can't let this go. There's something about it that I can't let go. And I kept saying, we're not letting it bother me. We're not letting it control me. And Wayne Dyer was like, well, what? This it thing is controlling everything. If you just release and forgive that person, just forgive that person for what they've done, but really first also admitting that you've probably done something wrong too. So I think that's the healing part, is we were judging and saying it was him, all him, we were mad at him, but in reality we chose to give this guy the money. We chose to sign our names on the document. We did everything. We did it. We had let this guy into our life. We did it first. And he said, if you can just accept that you've done something, you are the first, you started it, and that you just forgive that guy. You forgive it because whatever reason he did, if you just forgive him for what he's done, but then you also admit that it was you first of forgiving yourself and loving yourself for making a mistake, but then forgiving them. And you know what, John? Our world changed. Everything about the space that we were in, because we were just upset and we kept telling the story over and over again, but it had a negative connotation about it. Now we tell the story, we're like, yeah, this guy got us to sign these documents, and now we're living this amazing life because we lost everything we had. It was like a complete reversal, but it's this self-love, acceptance, and then forgiving that changed my world.
Well, you know, Wayne Dyer, probably the most powerful thing that he said that I've ever heard from him was holding a grudge is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Whoa.
Holding a grudge is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. And because what it does is it shuts down. There's a part that when you're holding these grudges, it blocks your ability to be present in the moment, because you're always looking over your shoulder for the next person that's going to do the same thing. And when you can get to the point of where you can thank the person not for what they did to you, but thank the person for what they did for you. That's the key. Yeah. Because look at who you are now, and there are lessons that are not pleasant. There are lessons in life that are not pleasant, and we all have these moments when, for whatever reason, we make a mistake. I mean, again, Gallagher. Let's think about Gallagher, and I love some of the smartest people in the world gave millions of dollars to a man whose last name was the big hint, Madoff. What did he do? Bernie made off with everybody's money.
Yeah.
So, and I'll give you, here's a political one that some people don't get this one yet, but I think they will. You know, my favorite card game as a kid was Hearts, okay? And Hearts involves certain suits, okay? And that if you have all the hearts, you can do anything you want. Well, the name for the hearts are trumps. So there is a guy out there who's right in the news every day, all day, who has all the trumps. And not only did he tell us, I mean, the universe is laughing right now, whether he gets the nomination or not, but he asked, I was really upset with him, and I had to meditate and try to ask the infinite intelligence, how can I not just really get angry at this guy because of the way he's acting? And once I was taken back to playing the card game, and the time you would have 13 tricks because you had all the hearts, you could do anything you wanted. And nobody could do anything about it. And they're constantly on TV talking about how he can do anything he wants. He breaks all the rules, and everybody still loves him. Well, he's got all the trumps. His name is Trump. So it's a funny deal. But these types, I'm studying right now something that's called peripheral manifestation.
Ooh, John, I can't even we can keep going. All right, go. Peripheral manifestation. I know that our people.
Yeah, this is what I'm studying. We seem to be going through a very interesting time now, where we don't. Maybe some other time we can talk about how I get to this point, because it would take a little too long during our short period. But it seems as if the manifestation process, when you become open, when you do your forgiveness work, when you stop taking the poison of grudge, okay, and when you can thank the villains in your life for, I'm going to tell you a real quick one to help with this. I can feel the energy. There's some people out there that are listening or will be listening that need a little nudge. There once was a woman who had a daughter that couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. Doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. So finally, she went to a spiritual healer. And she went through the whole thing, and they brought all the MRIs and CAT scans and all this stuff and laid it down to the spiritual healer. And she said, I need your daughter to leave the room. And so the lady excused the daughter, and she went out in the waiting room, and the spiritual healer said, you're toxic to your daughter. If you really love her, you'll let her go. You'll do whatever it takes to let her go. And she will get well. So how much love would it take? You being a mother who's so incredibly dedicated to her daughter, but how much love would it take? So when you realize that time is an illusion, and the next part, if time's an illusion, no one ever dies. We all just shed skins. Okay? However that turns out after that, I'm not going to get involved in it. But how much love does it take for two people to come together in the contract of mother and daughter with the amazing amount of love that you demonstrate for us with your daughter? And a spiritual healer said to you, you have to release her because your relation, I mean, it's huge, isn't it? But think that we're all pure love.
Yeah.
So for someone to come in to be a Hitler or someone to come in to be a Jesus, how much love does it take? One of my seminars, I pick up I take a picture of Hitler and I say, what is this? And all the people go and they go on and, and they tell me about the Holocaust and all that. And then I put that one down and then I put up another picture and I say, this is Jesus. What is this? And they go and they talk about unconditional love and all of that. And then I hold the two up together and I say they're exactly the same. And they freak out. And the point is, I say, what I'm holding in my hand is paper pulp with ink. Everything else is inside of you. Everything else, the whole story is inside of you. Now, I'm not saying Hitler and Jesus in the mindset are the same. I'm saying that the stories are individual. And in the aspect of forgiveness, if you can get into a big enough picture, if you can stand on the moon. I met Edgar Mitchell and talked about standing on the moon. And so if you can stand on the moon, you can see the insignificance of this little blue globe that's spinning in the vastness of space. Then we can get to this place where we don't swallow the poison of grudge. And there is no such thing as getting even. So once you get to there, your intuitive mind opens up directly to the infinite intelligence of the universe. And it is the most overwhelming experience because when you can reach this point of total forgiveness in your life, you will have the experience of what it feels like for perfect innocence. And that's the spot where adoration begins. When you can get to total forgiveness, it opens up the doorways to all of the spiritual guides and invisible forces to come in and be there and keep you in the flow and let you know when you're ahead of your flow or when you're standing in the river and fighting the flow. So that's an important distinction right there. So peripheral manifestation, do you want to breathe there with me too?
Yeah, I want you to go back. I like where you're heading with peripheral manifestation. I think, too, that you just said something very powerful that I know that I have been in those spaces where I'm just like, I am in the river, and I'm like, yeah, it feels so amazing, and I'm flowing. And then I know what happens where I am standing. And it's like you're doing everything you can to make something happen, and it's like it doesn't even work at all. And so, and I know that happens to a lot of people in life and business and wherever levels they are in their life. How do you get from being in that, because I'm pretty strong, John, and I know there's times where I'm like in the river and I'm like, I'm going to stay right here. And I almost fight it to stay there. And then you say, no, you got to let it go. and then you start to flow. So would you please share the distinctions between, in it, flowing, fighting it, and then what you meant by being ahead of it? Because I know I've been in all three.
Well, you're very enthusiastic, so why don't we start with being ahead of the river?
Okay.
Okay. Because enthusiasm has a tendency to get us ahead of the flow. And there are many fine lines. When we're using words to describe these emotional events. But the thing I've noticed is that when I am violating universal law, okay, and the main universal law that we all operate under is the law of free will. When I am engaging other people without permission, like if we're going to share, when I'm doing a seminar, one of the first things I do is ask permission. You may remember that. I ask your permission to be your mind for a little while. And this is an interview show. This is not where people are investing money in exchange of energy. So I'm being a bit more open on this. And then if they want to go deeper, they can contact me via email. I do personal sessions with people that do have. I've worked with some people for quite long periods of time and have had some remarkable breakthroughs. But when you're ahead of the river, you may, when you're open, once you've done your forgiveness work, plan 1, okay, and you get to where you start really feeling this flow, and you're ahead of it, you start seeing things falling apart behind you. Now, you've got an intention. And all of a sudden, you see people being drawn in that sort of wreck what it is that you have brought into form thus far. Now, that can be caused by being ahead of the river because you've created this space, and sometimes we have energies that come into the creative process that are not necessarily beneficial.
Ooh.
Okay, now standing in the river is, I will not forgive that so-and-so. That's standing in the river. Okay. I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm going to put that over there and I'm going to pretend like it's not there. But I will guarantee you through this law of the spiral, I can't remember, did we have the gentleman that did the Fibonacci sequence and everything at Cancun?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so I mean, there you saw the spiral and the golden mean and all of that. Well, that is the law of nature, and that we have these spiral experiences. So getting ahead is when all of a sudden you have extraneous energies that start coming in that are destroying. Ooh. And it's not always a permanent thing, but it's almost like the little boy putting his fingers into the wall trying to keep the water from flowing in because it's not ready to hold what it is. And when you get ahead of the river, you're not able to hold on to the vision that you have by learning how to surrender. Here's 2 key words for everybody: surrender and allow. Surrendering to a point where you don't think that your mind controls everything. A book that I've studied for 30 years called A Course in Miracles says the most difficult journey that any person ever has is the 18-inch journey between the mind and the heart. And when you smile, I mentioned that it comes from your heart. When your decisions can come from a heart-centered place, then you will be in your flow. And when your mind is mind chatter, and we all wake up to that some mornings, and you have to just kind of thank you for sharing, thank you for sharing, thank you for sharing, and then kind of let it kind of drizzle on away, and then get on with the intention of the day. What else? Where do we want to go from here? Now we talked about this peripheral manifestation. Can I go back to that?
Yes, please. Thank you for that, because that gave me perspective and understanding, because I know all of us, I'm in creation mode right now, John. There's so much amazing things and that I want to do for others, and it's like this was such a good balance for me to understand, because there's times you're like, I allow other influences to come in to help me bring this mission forward. It's like, no, You just got to let it, you got to accept, you got to surrender and allow this to happen, because we've got so many amazing people coming to the table that want to just be part of something greater. And
Right.
thank you for that. That's gave me some perspective.
Well, the manifestation process, there's this, you have to do your homework, okay? That means surround yourself with books, teachers, family, community that are like-minded. To have one rotten apple come into a community can really cause some problems until people own the fact that they have to stand their ground, and that whatever this person is bringing, either they can change who they are or they need to find their group. It doesn't mean they don't belong in our group. It means they need to find their group. Okay? So manifestation has to do with momentum. People get frustrated. They'll set up a written intention for their life, a written intention for their relationships. I teach some things about global reputations, and there are ways to keep those kind of people outside of your circle that are very effective. I've used them for a long time, and I really have great conviction that they do work. So this manifestation process, I mentioned the word momentum. So many people become the farmer, the impatient farmer, who goes out and plants seeds, and as soon as they start sprouting up, the farmer goes out and pulls up the small tender plants to see if they have roots, and then sticks them back. Well, you know what happens. Either they die or they're shunted. And so it is that people want to evaluate everything in a manifestation process from the head, and they're constantly getting involved with this pulling up the roots to see if there's something's happening, or talking with someone, when I've discovered that probably the most important thing is keep this manifestations only within a group of people who can hold your dreams. Because the first person, this is in the beginning, it's very fragile, just like that small plant. If you go out and say, hey, I'm working with this group, and that's a bunch of bull, and as soon as it's like holding a crystal glass. And if you're going to write up intentions, don't put them in the front door of your house where everybody that walks by can look at them, because they can't hold the energy of manifestation. So what I've noticed has been happening with the new flows of energy that are coming onto the planet right now is that, I'll give you a couple of examples because it's best through example. It's hard to explain this instantaneous manifestation. Here's a guy that's been for 30 years manifesting perfect parking places. And you probably do that too. Especially when you're in a hurry and you just get far enough ahead, and I can see that car. And if it's not there right away, I know that if the car hadn't moved, I just need to go around the block. Remember, don't shove the river. I don't go find another place or give up on my intention. I might go around the block, come back, and just when I come up there pulling out, I pull in. So when that doesn't happen, in the past, and this is important, write down those words, everyone, in the past. Anytime you talk about failure of any consequence in your life, don't carry it like baggage over your shoulder. When you say, I am, blah, 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 and it's negative, say, in the beginning, say, in the past, I am. Or in the past, I was. Okay, and that key, what that does, it says that this does not have to go on when I say in the past. Now, I realize that's a contradiction to my non-belief in time, but I am saying linguistically this works. To negate anything that any personal criticism about, in the past I thought that my thumb was too big. Some silly stuff like that. Whatever it is, we all have those judgments about ourselves. And so in the past I've said this. And so then that allows you, the more times you say in the past and it comes up, that's like thank you for sharing. That's another one of the magic words, okay? In the past, thank you for sharing. So back to peripheral manifestation. I also am very good at, once I find hotel rooms in certain hotels that I like to stay in, I can usually manifest them without any problem. So just recently, in my trips to Costa Rica, I went to my favorite hotel, and the room that I usually manifest, I don't even have to ask for the room. It's just always there. It wasn't there. So my first thing I'm thinking, okay, what was the deal? In the past, I will use it here. I'm using it for me. In the past, I would judge myself. What did I do wrong? Why didn't this manifest? Like it always does. What's wrong here? So I allow them, rather than get into engaging anything. Why didn't you say my room? Every time I come, I want to stay in this room. There can be a whole conversation there. Okay, and that's just like the grudge poison. Okay, because it just is not good. And so I allow them to give me this other room. It's a magnificent room. It's right on the Pacific Ocean, on the beach. I walk out my mind's running. What happened? This room doesn't have Wi-Fi. My other room, the reason I like it is because it has Wi-Fi, and otherwise I have to go under my other room and with my computer in the morning do my computer work. So it was like I had lost this sense of convenience. So I go sit out on the porch, and I'm sitting down there and having a nice glass of cold water, and I look around, and the answer was right there in front of me. I have manifested this beautiful lake home, and I am in the remodeling process right now. And I was trying on, I love greens and violets together. So that's kind of a strange color for a bedroom, but the violet flame of Saint Germain, I don't know whether you're familiar with Saint Germain or not, but I had been sleeping while I was remodeling under the colors of violet and green. And when I was on the porch, I looked around and just had to laugh, because exactly the colors I've been sleeping under were right there. Right. So I got it. I said, so now I started looking at this peripheral manifestation. Then just a few days ago, I'm in the remodeling process, a very powerful piece of land, by the way, that I'm on. I'm learning a lot of spiritual lessons. I have a pair of peacocks that have adopted me there at this property, which is really interesting. The first day I was there, I opened the door into the house, and someone had left the back door open. There's two peacocks standing in the living room. I'm going, this is going to be an interesting place to live. But there is this magnificent mantelpiece and an entertainment center in this house, and I never really looked. It's been so covered with sheetrock dust and everything. I just knew that there was something special about it. So about 3 or 4 days ago, I was at a friend's open mic, and there was a fellow there, and he was playing this amazing guitar. There's only 6 of them in the world like this, and he allowed me to hold it, and it was like holding a total work of art. It had this maple that's called pleated maple, and it's almost 3-dimensional. The wood is, even though it's flat, it looks like you could put your hand down in a cotton candy. And so the same gentleman that does the open mic, he's helping me remodel, and we were remodeling just a couple of days after that happened. And I said, you're not going to believe this. I was wiping off this entertainment center. The entertainment center is made out of pleated maple. And it is like this gem that is so amazing. It's just so, I mean, it is really truly going to be the showplace of the entire house, and I almost painted it white. But this is what I'm talking about. Peripheral manifestation is what you have around you. Now, more it seems like than ever before, that you will be manifesting. So having things, I notice you've got the little Bali symbol right behind you there. Who is that? What is the function?
Representation of the white monkey.
Okay, and the function of the white monkey?
It's Dharma over Adharma. So it represents overtaking Adharma, which we just actually celebrated Galyugan around here, which is it's the celebration of Dharma overcoming Adharma, and the white monkey represents that. Okay.
Well, having whatever inspires you around you, if whatever your faith involves, it could be nature. anything that has to do with Jamie Sams, with the medicine cards, one of the most wonderful of all of the nature oracles, Ted Andrews, Animal Speaks. Any of these really, people ask me about oracles. How do I know a good oracle from a bad oracle? You know, and I would offer the consideration. Oracles would be like the medicine cards, anything that Doreen Virtue does with the angels and ascended masters, all of these. But the thing that makes, for me, the more effective for me, it would be if they don't involve judgment, if they don't involve good or bad, if they don't involve evil, if they just tell you a story and let you make the rest up through your interface. I mean, where I live, this magical place that I call Eagle Heart, I have a couple pairs of owls that I sing with. I mean, owls are wonderful singing partners. They love to be mimicked just like a parrot. Yeah. And hawks that come here, and raccoons and possums, and I'm in the middle of two city parks in a very, very metropolitan area. It's 5 acres. This is overwhelming abundance. When you pick up 5 acres of land in a mystical place, and the mistake that so many people make is that they think they own land. The land owns us. It will be here a long time after we're gone. We're merely caretakers. So what do we do? The confusion around the terms that man has dominion over the earth, thinking that means we can do whatever the hell we want, when the true meaning from the root word of dominion was responsibility. Yeah. Okay, so there are many faiths and many books that talk about man has dominion over the earth. That means they think you can kill all the pigs, you can kill all the everything, you know, and not have a karma that's involved in that, collectively and individually. So we have a responsibility, and that's what for 15 years I've allowed my property to become a nature preserve, and that is my peripheral manifestation. I live in paradise every day, and the new place my place is in Costa Rica, the property I had down there, which I've recently sold, my waterfall, 22 waterfalls. Beautiful piece of property, 42 acres. Gorgeous, and then my other property in Costa Rica is on a river in the middle of nowhere, across the street from a 4-star hotel. Wow. So all of these things can come to you, and they're all paid for.
That's right. Okay. You know, John, it's really interesting. You know, my husband Brian did this little 30-minute video about creating your perfect day and expanding your mindset to creating your perfect day. And it was something that we, you know, had just observed and taken in from so many other lessons that we've, you know, taken on and inside of personal development, and just really helping us visualize what we want. That's, to me, it sounds such a tight connection to this peripheral manifestation. If you know what you really want out of life, and who you want around you, and how you want it to feel, then it just begins to manifest itself. You know, and there's so much we could continue on the story. I feel that we got ready to part 2 with John, because.
All right. I guess we're getting towards the end. So you said a key word. I'd like to just call that to everyone's attention.
Yes.
If you can't feel that you deserve something, if you can't feel that you can bring it into form, you know, The Secret shows the man, if the people that are familiar with the movie The Secret, they show the guy try to manifest a car. I've done that many times. It's all about feeling, and manifesting from the heart is the feeling. The heart connects us with the infinite intelligence of the universe, and that's why it's so important to keep our heart open and not hold grudges, is because that is where we manifest from truly.
Wow, so powerful, John. And I know that some of our live watchers have a couple questions, if you'd be open to answering those, because
sure, I'd be happy to.
Awesome, because wow, you've inspired me so much, and every time I listen to you, I'm engulfed in your words, and I know that our followers and, you know, all of our tribe members are going to feel the same way. You're going to get an abundance of love flowing your way, if that's what you're asking for today. I think you've got it. But so Stephen Moody's asking, what steps do you recommend for procrastination or the lack of taking action? Because I know sometimes people get stuck in those areas of whether it's belief or just getting really stuck.
Okay. She asked the perfect question to the perfect person. I am a recovering perfectionist.
Aren't we all?
So the first answer to that question is be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to take action. As long as it doesn't harm another human or another animal, be willing to take action and be willing to make mistakes. Mistakes can be our greatest teachers. So the second part of that is loving yourself enough that if you do make a mistake, you won't carry it around with you. You look at it, Rhonda, the sales technique of never hearing no.
Mm.
You hear not now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you move forward. Not now, it's never no. You never hear, even if they say no, what you're hearing them say is not now. So this concept of being willing to make mistakes and to build upon the wisdom. When we judge ourselves for making mistakes, we make more mistakes. Get over it. Understand it's part of a process. What is the famous thing about Edison and the light bulb? It was over 1,500 mistakes he made before he got the light bulb right?
Yes.
And where will we be if after the first time he said, oh, this isn't going to work? And look at all of Einstein's theories now that are being brought about. Now, all of a sudden, the latest thing is his theory of gravity waves, and that this is going to be something I think that's going to be huge. That's the latest thing that they've proven, that his theory of gravity is being able to be proven. And so all of that. So that hopefully that's a good enough answer for that one. Okay. What's the other? Any other question?
Yes. And let's see. Regina is asking, what are there any books or people that you recommend following in regards to peripheral manifestation?
Well, I think probably the easiest book for people to read. I'm a voracious reader. Okay, and it's not unusual for me to have 10 books going at a time. But I don't necessarily read them. I mean, I'm a guy in 3 months who read the 5 Game of Thrones books, and those are some pretty good books, okay? So the first thing I would say, if you're going to, the best investment I think anybody can make is in like a Kindle Fire or a tablet, so that you can have your books on the tablet. You can read them anywhere then. You don't have to worry about forgetting them at home. You don't have to have light. You don't have to worry about keeping your partner up all night because, you've got a lamp on, So, and you can have the earphones and be reading and have nice soothing music in the background. One of my favorite, Bob Proctor, I always research. When I hear something that strikes my fancy, Bob Proctor in The Secret talks about he was given a book. Now, this is not in the Secret movie itself. Always, like in movies like Secret, go to the additional information. And there's an introduction by Bob Proctor. And if you have The Secret, go back and listen to that. That is a magnificent presentation of the art of manifestation. Okay, but he talked about who inspired him, and it was a book by an author by the name of Thomas Troward. Troward. They're one of her people that are not ready to read Troward may find it easier to read another author who gives some simpler translations of metaphysical thought. Her name is Genevieve Behrens. I think it's Behrands. And she was the student. And this is one of those manifestation things. She came all the way from the United States. This guy doesn't take students, and she just stayed camped out till he finally agreed that he'd be her mentor. So it is fascinating. Your Incredible Power or something is the name of that particular book, I believe. But it is her work. These are interesting. There are modern books that you can read also, but this is where this is the route that I've read, other than if you get back to the mystery school books, okay? And I think that you really need someone to work you through those. But the other one would be Neville Goddard. Okay, and you can get a book very inexpensively called the Neville Reader, and within the Neville Reader is the Feeling is the Secret. About 48 pages of the most powerful information that you can get about how to manifest both consciously and in your dream space. Most people just go to sleep not knowing that they can come up with answers from their dream space. Again, surrendering to invisible means of support. Okay, I think those are really good. Of course, there are lots and lots of books. Catherine Ponder is another one that her books are wonderful. Eric Butterworth, another great prosperity. Of course, everybody knows Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. These are all classics. Now, here's the thought. Buy all those books. You can get them. So a lot of them, these books, you can have for free if you have a Kindle. You go to Amazon, they've got those a lot of free books that are very good, and put them in. And sometimes I just sleep with my Kindle over my heart because all that energy of all those books is in that Kindle. And we are electromagnetic computer systems. That's what we are. We are these electromagnetic computers that come with no instruction manual. That's the joke of the universe. We don't come with an instruction manual. And being able to embrace the energy of the books that are in the Kindle or the book itself. If some people still like to turn the pages, that's the way I could read the Game of Thrones. I speed read, and I could just flip through the pages on that and get it. So, what another question?
Let me see. I'm a big audiobook reader.
Aren't they great? Yeah. Especially if you travel a lot. Yes.
Yeah, we're big audiobooks, but and my husband he'll put this audiobook on and just goes to sleep to it, so he's just subconsciously taking in all the information. But you know, John, you brought up something really cool, and we'll kind of start to begin to close because I think that I got something I want to announce, so don't leave, guys. And because you want to hear this, because I'm going to ask John a really specific question that I want him to answer, if it's possible. But being in social media, you know, and certainly everyone here as freedompreneurs, most everyone does work. They're creating something online, whether they have a business, they're developing a business, they're bloggers. You know, they're using the internet as their platform to share their visions and their passions to the world and bring in abundance. So I think what you just said, when it means, you know, taking like the Kindle, putting it on your heart, I feel that it's the same way of keeping the same kind of great people in your space, whether it's Facebook or whatever type of media you're interacting with or whatever platform. Make sure that you're only subscribing to the right type of YouTube videos and that you're keeping good people on your timeline in Facebook, right? Those are the ones that are going to inspire you, and unsubscribe to all those yucky emails of people that are just trying to oversell you stuff. It just clutters up your mind. And allow the goodness of the people to be inside of your spaces. I think that's so important for us to even realize that we are these electromagnetic computers of our own. That even I'm touching my computer, I'm taking in your good energy, and the ones that are around me, right? I think that's something that we forget about. You know, we're so easy to scroll through all the garbage sometimes. You know, John, it's been over 10 years, I've taken a media fast. I have not watched one line of news in over 10 years. But I need to find out, whatever's important, I find out if it's important. Someone's going to call me. Someone's going to, you know, let me know what's going on in the world if it's important to me. And the rest is all just clouds up my space.
Is there a question there?
No.
I think I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, this global reputation. If we have just a second, I'll give them that as a project. Okay.
No one's leaving. So.
Okay, this is part of the forgiveness process. Okay, if you do a personal inventory of everyone that's wronged you, and that you would think that has wronged you in any way. And go back to childhood. You know, there's a wonderful book, Everything I Needed to Learn About Life, I learned in kindergarten, okay, and or grammar school, whatever the title is. But so you put it down, okay, And then you put down what they did. Okay, this person lied to me, this person stole from me, this person, okay, blah, blah. So you go down. So then you write down the opposite. The person that lies, you would want, the opposite would be what? An honest person. Person that stole for you would be a trustworthy person. Okay, so you do that, and you make every person that has ever created pain or frustration or brought lack into your life or whatever, you write all of that down and you put the opposite. Then you just simply draw a circle, okay, on a page, and you would write now on this one what we're creating. The circle is the most ancient symbol for the creative flow of the universe. The horizon is a circle, a bird's nest is a circle. As I'm looking in your eyes, your pupils is a circle, and so, you know, all of this. So it's a very important symbol. We could have all had square eyes, and bird's nest could have done rectangles, you know. So this concept of the circle is the symbol of the infinite intelligence of the universe. So you take all these people who were the quote unquote the bad guys, and you take the lesson that they taught you and you put it inside of the circle. Okay? And you add all of those into the circle, inside the circle. At the top of your page, you put boundaries for the life of Rhonda Swan. And what you will start seeing is all the people who do not fall within that circle will start falling away. They will be repelled by, and I've used this for years, and it is one of the most effective we don't teach children boundaries. You want to teach your child something important? Teach them personal boundaries. Okay? Because they don't teach that in school.
That's right. That's right.
You know, they're at the mercy of peer. They're at the mercy of educational systems or lack of interest from parents or whatever. Not you, certainly. But this global barrier, boundaries for the life of, and you write your name there, and every person that has ever brought in these negative intensity, harm, whatever it is. I have worked with some people who've got some what I call really loud stories that have involved rape, incest, just abuse of all forms throughout the years, and helped them walk through that. But this simple process becomes a mandala that actually, and what you have to, when you do this, you may lose some friends that you thought were friends. Okay? And they may come back later when they get their life together, but for right now, when you set this up and you take all the life lessons, this is sort of like a final definition of your life purpose. These are all the things you came here in this universe to learn so that you could bring forth your destiny in a clear way. I think that's enough for me for tonight. Hope I haven't burned up the airwaves. I'd look forward if I'm ever invited to come back. There's lots of fun things.
John, I know it's been amazing. We've got some interaction on one of our pages. A lot of people aren't logged into the chat, so we're not seeing them. But we've got probably hundreds, and then we'll begin to have thousands of people watching and hanging on every word. This will be sent out not only in broadcast, of course, and podcast. But I want to thank you for this because you have. I know you've helped change my day, which is 11 a.m. here in Bali, Indonesia. It's evening time for you, and we've got people from all over the world that are watching. But I want to thank you, and I want to ask you this question, John, because I know a lot of our people have been asking and wondering, and I'm going to ask, you can share where they can find you and how they can get in contact with you, and we'll make sure that we put your contact information. But have you ever considered coming back to Bali for an event?
Oh, I have, I think, 3 or 4 firewalking instructors that I don't know whether they're teaching there or not, but that I taught in Bali. But that would be fun. I would love to be back in Bali, and it is one of the absolutely most beautifully spiritual places on the face of the earth. I acknowledge the fact that you're there, and it is a bit of a challenge to get wood there. We had to import, when I did the big training, we had to import cinnamon wood from, I think it was someplace in Indonesia that we had, but they did it the last minute, so it was expensive. I think if you brought it in by boat, it would be a lot different. And there's certainly plenty of places that do wood carving there that could be a resource. My sponsors just didn't have that connection. Sure. Let's do Bali. Win.
I'm thinking of a couple of things, and I know my followers, John, I've been doing events for the last several years, and they've been going, when is the next event? When are you going to tell us? Because I went back-to-back events last year, and it was, it was a lot of work, and so this year I committed to taking some time and building and really helping grow some things that we're creating. So we have an event here April 1st to the 5th, and it's a private event that I'm hosting for only 10 people. And then some of my partners and, of course, our tribe leaders, Regina and Mike, Van Velden, and a lot of others that are part of the group. Regina and Mike are the only ones that know, and they're watching right now, and they're listening. And we said, let's just have a Freedom-Preneur launch party where we just bring the Freedom-Preneurs together just to have fun and to explore and to really celebrate what we're doing for around the world. And our thinking was at the very end of April that we are having an event. We just haven't completely announced it. So I'd like to talk to you further about that, John, to see if we can bring together our hearts, our souls, and bring some greatness back to Bali, and bring the man that has done some amazing things already in this country, and share some of the love. I think some people are going to be really excited when they hear this, if in fact it comes to fruition. But again, like you said, you got to put it out there. It's all about peripheral manifestation, and I'm going for it.
You've got a wonderful word, and the one that I gave you in Cancun was uncommon certainty.
Ah, yes.
Remember that one?
Absolutely.
Knowing but not having to know how you know.
That's
Those
right.
are two of my. I love that, because that's relying on invisible means of support. There's that thing that just downloads, top of my head buzzes, and I know I'm getting information that's important. So God bless you. We'll talk further about possibilities and see what happens. Okay.
Absolutely, John. And where can they find you? Where can all of our followers find you?
The best way right now is to email me at eagleheart, and that's EAGLE, the raptor eagle, okay? Heart, HEART, at 222. Okay, that's 222. There's 3 2s at gmail.com. So eagleheart222 at gmail.com. And if I do personal sessions with people that have issues that they can't handle themselves, forgiveness issues or detoxification issues is really what we're talking about here. Okay, on that. So would love to and help anyone that I can. So that's the best way. I do have a website, but we'll do that another time. Okay.
I know we can find you on Facebook too.
Oh yeah, John Hawk Maisel, Hawk. That's my Indian name.
And okay, last question before you go. So I would say your spirit animal is a hawk, then, right?
Yeah, that's one of them. I have, when you study Jamie Sam's work, you actually have a spirit totem. That get the book. It's the Medicine Cards by Jamie Sams.
Yep.
Absolutely. If you're into studying nature, that's probably one of the best oracles that have ever been written. And then second to that would be the Druid cards. And I don't remember the authors on that, but the very similar deck. But I think for most beginners, Jamie Sams she's easy to read and easy to understand.
Perfect. John, thank you so much. We're super excited. Whether we see you at the end of April or somewhere else at the end of the year, we're going to figure this out, because we would love to have your energy part of our tribe. And you guys will probably be able to find some more information, too, about John inside of the Freedom-Preneur Academy in our marketplace, because John offers private personal sessions, and I'm going to make sure that his information's in there for our tribe to contact you if they ever feel the need and desire to be part of your space. So John, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. I know you're going to go to sleep, but I always end this way. Have a great one, everyone, and always be unstoppable.
Unstoppable, yes. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Cheers, everyone.